Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, Maseches SOTAH Daf Mem Zayin. We are holding on the bottom, on the last line of Mem Vav Amud Beis. So back to the story of Elisha Hanavi, who had come to the city of Yericho, which had been experiencing some trouble with their water. It was unfit for drinking. He came by and he fixed it up for them. And as he's leaving, he's being taunted by these youngsters who had initiated a very lucrative business of importing drinking water to the city. And now when he fixed up the water, they were out of business and they were lacking in their faith and trust in Hashem, and they blamed him for having lost their business. They taunted him. And as a result, Elisha responded by applying a klala in the name of Hashem. He cursed them, and this was the ramification. Vateitzeno shtayim dubim min hayar. 2 bears come out of the forest, vatevakano mehem arboim shnei lodim, and strikes down 42 of these youngsters. How exactly did this miracle happen? Rav u'Shmuel a machlokes. Chadam, one explains, nes. It was just a single miracle that brought this about. V'chad Amar, the other one explains, nes b'soich nes. It was a double nes, a nes within a nes, as follows. Manda Amar nes, nes. The shita that holds that it was just a single miracle, because Yar Hava, there was already a pre-existing forest in the area, where typically bears will roam. But problem is, Dubim lo yahavu. There were no bears at the time, and he brought about these bears by way of a miracle. Mandamar nes b'sech nes, the other shita that says it was a double miracle, that's because lo yar hava, v'lo dubim havu. There was actually no forest there to begin with, certainly no bears. He created the forest and the bears. By the way, this is where the expression comes from. When he totally strikes down something as just mere fantasy, you say, oh, no bears and no fire. It doesn't begin, it doesn't end. It comes from this Gemara. So, nothing. There were no bears, and even a forest wasn't in existence. And he brought that about by way of a miracle, to bring about punishment for these individuals. Asks the Gemara, but why do we need a forest? The main thing are the bears. Let there be just bears. Without the yar of the forest. The answer is the be'isi, because without a forest, a habitat to run back to, bears would not have the courage to go attack. So, in order for it to take place, first he had to bring about a forest, and then from there the bears came out and attacked. So how did this happen? Why did this happen? Omar Rabbi Chanina, Bishvil Arboim Ushnaim Karbonis. It's on account of the 42 karbanis, Sheikrev Balak Melech Moav, which was brought by Balak, the king of Moav, to facilitate Bilam's cursing of Klal Yisrael. Right? There was 3 times the Mizbeach, and each time it was 14 animals. So, because of those 42 karbanis, Huvku mi Yisrael Arboim Ushnaim Yilodim. That's why these 42 youngsters were struck down years later, on account of his karbanis. He brought about this oynesh. Asks the Gemara, really? This was the result of Balak's efforts? Eini, is that so? Amar Yehuda. Amar Rav, didn't we learn? Lo'olam yasig adam b'torah b'mitzvahs. A person should involve himself with Torah mitzvahs throughout his entire life, even though he knows full and well. He's not doing it out of really altruistic motives. He's not really on the highest level. Even if it's shaloi lishma, he's doing it for some ulterior motive. He's not fully feeling that connection to Hashem. Still do. Just do it. Ultimately, when you start with shaloi lishma, you eventually reach the point of lishma. In fact, there's a sefer called Nefesh HaChaim. Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin writes, it is guaranteed, after a couple of hours of learning, you will experience at least a moment of ecstasy, a moment of connection, a moment of lishma. How do we know this? Shebeschar arboim u'shnaim karbanis, because of the schar for those 42 karbanis shehikriv Balak melech Moav, brought by Balak, although it was very much with an ulterior motive. He had an agenda. He was trying to bring about a klala to Klal Yisrael. It wasn't l'shem shemayim. Still, nothing goes to naught. Nothing is wasted. Zacha v'yatsa samimenu Rus. He was Zaycha, that Rus, the Tzedekis Rus, forebearer of David HaMelech, came from his descendants. Shiyatza mimenu Shloimoi. Right? So from Rus we have Shloimoi. Basically, Rashi learns that Rus came from Balak, and from her came out David and Shloimoi, who brought many karbanis. We find that Shlomo Melech was involved in bringing many karbanis. Bottom line, even something Shalei L'Shma can generate good things eventually. Nothing goes to waste. And Rus was a descendant of Balak, a granddaughter. V'amar Rabbi Yossi ben Choni, who was Rus? Bitei shel Eglain, daughter of Eglain, b'nei shel Balak, son of Balak. So that's what she were. That's what she was. Bottom line, his karbanis generated good things. And here we say that it achieved exactly the opposite, brought about killing of these kids. How do we reconcile both things? The answer is ta'avasa imiyah l'klalahavi. Ultimately, his desire was to bring about curse on Klal Yisrael, and that came about in a mini micro fashion with this incident of the 42 kids being killed. So what he did had a mix, so to speak, of good and bad. It was a carbon to Hashem, but he had an agenda to bring tragedy, and that's what happened here. In terms of the positive element of what he did, okay, that generated Rus and Shlomo and David, which was the good part of what he did, but the negative part manifested in this story. So as we mentioned, Elisha came to help them with their water. Vayimru anshe ha'ir el Elisha. So the locals of Yericho turned to Elisha with their issues. Look, the city is beautiful, great place to live. But we have two things wrong. Hamayim roim, water is terrible. V'aretz mishakelas, and people just die young over here. Something with the water and the soil. Asks the Gemara, so why are they praising their town if it's so terrible? If the water and the soil is terrible, so why are they saying it's a great place? Amar Rabbi Chanan, Hashem does that. Hashem makes the makom desirable. There's a special grace. You live in a town, you think it's the best town, irrespective of its deficiencies. In fact, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, this applies to three things, those three essentials of a person's existence in this world. Shloisha Cheinei Sein. There are three graces that Hashem generates on a person. Chein Makom Al Yeshvav. The Makom, a person's place of residence, has a special grace. A person's connected. So the Yeshvav, the inhabitants of this specific place, love that place. Chein Isha Al Bala. Same with a wife to her husband, irrespective of her exterior appearance. There's a special liking that her husband has to her. Chein Mekach Al Loichai. Likewise, the item that person purchases, or the field that he toil that he develops, etc., that is something that a person is drawn to, irrespective of rationale or logic. And the Maharsha says these three things correspond to those three essentials that we learned back on Daf Beis Amud Aleph, which are those three critical elements of our existence in this world: wife, home, right? Wife, place of residence, and your SOTAH, your business, things that you purchase, things that serve you. So Hashem created that special chein that a person should feel, that affinity to these things, connection to them, identifies with them. It's him, it's part of his person, it's part of his condition. Tan Rabbanan Shloisha Chaloin Chala Elisha. Ultimately, Elisha Hanavi fell ill 3 times. Echad once was as a punishment. Shagiro Dubim Betinoikas, because he sent those bears after those kids. Ve'echad, the other time that he fell ill, was a punishment on account of Shadochvei Legechazi B'shtei Yadayim. He pushed away Gechazi, his servant, with 2 hands. An expression, it means he rejected him a little bit too harshly for what he did. We'll see soon what he did. So because of that, Elisha suffered. And finally, Ve'echad, the final illness, Shemaisbei, was the one that he died with. Shenemar Elisha Chala. So Chala is once, as Chalya is twice. Ashi Yormas Boy, the 3rd time, was when he passed away. Tanu Rabbanim. We learn a great lesson from Elisha with Gechazi. A profound lesson in Chinuch. Lo'ilam Tei Smail Doicha. Even if a person has to admonish, Meichiach, tell a person off softly, gently, not with full force. Like, use your left hand, so to speak. Do it, but on a small flame. V'yimin mekareves. When it comes to expressing love, acceptance, being positive, that's by using your right hand. So basically, primarily, you should be expressing positive reinforcement, showing love and affection, endowing a person with self-esteem and self-worth. If need be, at times, teichacha is needed, but softly, gently, as though you're using your left hand. I want to hear a beautiful pshat. Smail doicha, you push away with your left. V'yimin mekareves, you turn him around with your right. It's not a matter of pushing away. You're there to turn it around, to transform, to redirect a person's energies in the right direction. Like Elisha, Shadachvei, Legechazi b'shtei yadav, as opposed to Elisha, who pushed Gechazi away with both hands. He rejected him. V'like Yeshua ben Prachya, or like Yeshua ben Prachya, that great Tana, Shadachvei le'echad mitalmidav. It so happens that he did the same to one of his Talmidim, and the Haggais on the side put in the words Yeshu Hanoitzri, Yashka, a leader of Christianity. That was he was one of the Talmidim of Yeshua ben Prachya, and he was rejected by his Rebbe on account of a story, an incident that we're going to learn about soon. And look what happened to him. Look what rejection can bring. That's not for me. That's it. I'm on my own. Creates his own religion, and look what kind of tsaris, look what kind of darkness he created. So like Yeshua ben Prachya, Shadachvei le'echad mitalmidav b'shtei yadav. So we have to take lesson and be more gentle, not make it about the person, rather about his misdeeds, about the actions, but never personal, never give that feeling of rejection. Says the Gemara, Elisha Mahi, what was the story regarding Elisha with Gechazi that we were meant to learn from? The pasuk says, "Vayomer Naaman, Hayel kach kikarim." So this was a story that Naaman, this general, had tsaras. He came to Elisha to heal him, and of course he did so. And Naaman offered Gechazi, who was a servant, a shamus, a talmid of Elisha. Hayal was a lashon of shvu. Hayel kach kikarim, take the blocks of silver, take payment. And in fact, he took money, he took garments. Now Elisha got wind of what he did, and he says to him, you think my heart didn't go along? Meaning, you think I'm not realizing what you did? When Naaman went all out to provide you with those items, right? You went and you took the silver, the begadim, all those things, v'zeisim, grapes, krumim, zeisim, krumim, olive trees perhaps, krumim, vineyards, etzoyin, bakar, other mishpachos, animals, maidservants, slaves. I know about it. What'd you do? Umishakal kulihai. Asks the Gemara 1 second. Let's stop for a second. Elisha accuses Gechazi of accepting all these as payments. Really? He took so many things? Umishakal kuli hai kesef begadim udishakal. The pasuk describes him taking just kesef and begadim, not 8 things. Or Yitzchak, yes, he actually took so many things. In fact, Elisha was involved in the sugya Gemara in Shabbos called Shmoina Shratzim, describing the the halachas of the 8 creatures which are metame. So that's what they were involved in, and that's sugya. Amalei, Elisha turns to Gehazi and he calls him Rasha. Higia eis litol schar Shmoina Shratzim, because you took all those gifts, you basically accepted. You already took payment, reward for the sugya of Shmoina Shratzim, so 8 corresponds to 8, and that's it. You got your schar, and you no longer have, schar la'asad lavei. V'tzaras namon tidbak bach b'cholab zarach la'olam, so you got your schar for the sugya that we're learning, now you're going to have tzaras, which is pretty much going to transfer from namon to you and to your kids la'olam. And we find v'arba noshim hayu mitzrayim. In fact, the Navi later on describes 4 people that were afflicted with tzaras. Who are these 4 people? Rabbi Yehuda ze Gehazi, that was Gehazi, who in fact got tzaras. Ushleish Esponav with 3 of his kids. Vayelach Elisha Damascus. Elisha traveled to Damascus. Lama halach, why did he travel? Rabbi Yehuda shalach lazir Gehazi b'tshuva. He went to open the door for Gehazi to come back and do teshuva and rejoin. V'lei chazar. Gehazi refused to come back. Why? Amar loy. Elisha turned to him. Chazar b'cha, please come back. Amar loy. Gehazi responds, I can't. Kach mikublanim imcha. I have a Kabbalah from you, my Rebbe. Kol mishachata v'yichtes a person who sins and influences others likewise. Ein maspikim b'yedel asas tshuva. Hashem doesn't allow him to come back. My Avad. In what way did he make others sin? Ikad Amri, some explain, Evan she'eves, a magnet. Yeravam ben Avad created this calf, like an Avodah Zarah, and Gehazi went ahead and he manipulated it with magnets and had it somehow float mid-air to appear like it has its own power, like it's an Avodah Zarah. Ve'amidah ben Shemaim la'aretz, he had it float between heaven and earth. And this misled the masses to Avodah Zarah. He was being machtes harabim. This, of course, is all because of his feeling of rejection and, out of desperation, to give himself some value and some prestige. Some explain, Shem chakak la puma. He actually engraved Hashem's name, the Shem Hashem, on the mouth of this golden calf. Meres, which would then speak and say, Anoichi, Anoichi Hashem lakech v'layilacha, the words of Aseres HaDibros, which gave the appearance of something that has life and power. Some explain that Gehazi did as follows. Nothing to do with Avodah Zarah. Rather, Rabbanon docha mikamei. He pushed aside Talmidim who wanted to come to Elisha to learn. No, you're not fit to come. You don't fit the criteria. You're not roi. So he was very selective in allowing people to come there to learn from Elisha. As it says in the pasuk, after Gehazi left the scene, so the Talmidim of Elisha Navi told Elisha, wow, it's crowded. They told Elisha, the space that we're sitting here is zar mimenu, very tight and crowded. How did it get suddenly crowded? Apparently until now it wasn't crowded. There was plenty of room because they had a very selective acceptance process because of Gehazi. And by doing so, he prevented many from learning Torah, and that was his chait. Bottom line is, he didn't want to come back, and the lesson to be learned is, one must be very careful in how he addresses his talmids, or his child's misdeeds. The next example is Yeshua ben Prachya. Mahi, what was that about? Says the Gemara, there was a whole story behind it. When Yanai, the Melech, he was really an illegitimate king, he came from Hurda's family, he wasn't really fit. In any case, Yanai was from the Malchei Chashmonaim, but the reason why he killed the Chachamim was because there was some sort of question regarding his lineage. Chachamim challenged his lineage, his kashrus, and he took advice from this fellow Lazar ben Paraya, this wicked man, who told him to kill out the Chachamim, get rid of them, and get rid of your problems. So when Yanai Melech was involved in killing the Rabbanon, it was a tzaddik by the name of Shimon ben Shatach. Atminu Achse. So his sister, Shimon ben Shatach's sister, whose name happened to be Shlemtzion HaMalka, and she happened to be the wife, the queen of Yanai HaMelech. So she took pity on her brother and she hid him to spare him. Okay, so he was safe for the time being. But Rabbi Yehuda ben Prachya, the other tzaddik, he didn't have that option, so he quickly escaped. Azal, he went Orak, he ran off Alexandria Shel Mitzrayim, to Alexandria. He stayed there for a while until danger passed. Kiava Shlama, when things calmed down, when Yanai Melech ceased pursuing the Chachamim, Shalach le Shimon ben Shetach. So Shimon ben Shetach, who was still in Yerushalayim, sent him a message all the way to Alexandria. Mini Yerushalayim, from me Yerushalayim, as though Yerushalayim is the one sending the message. The city of Yerushalayim is sending a message to Alexandria. Mini Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh, Lach Alexandria Shel Mitzrayim is sending a message to Alexandria, the other city to city message. Achoisi, my sister. Bali, my husband. So Yerushalayim is considering Yeshua ben Prachi, who was the Nasi of the Sanhedrin, as her husband. My husband is missing. Bali Shari b'soichech. My husband is sitting in your city. Vani Yeshev Shemem. I'm sitting all lonely. Omar, so upon getting this message, Shmaman, he said, okay, apparently Havale Shlom, it's okay to go back, it's safe. Kiyasa, on his way back to Yerushalayim, he came with his Talmidim, Ikla Lahu Ashpiza. So he encountered this, this hotel on the road, a Jewish fellow who hosted them with utmost respect and care. Kam Kamayu, stood before them, B'yikara Shapa, with great respect. Avdili Yikara Tuva, he did a lot of covered, and he treated the Chachamim with great dedication. Yosef became shtabeach. So Shimon ben Shetach was sitting and praising the host. Kama no'a achsan yezu. Look how pleasant our hostess is. Armale echad mitalmidav, who was actually this fellow Yeshu HaNoitri, right? He responded to his Rebbe. Rebbe, I know, truth is, how are you praising our hostess? Look at her eyes, are round, and she's not attractive. Armale Shimon did not take that too well, and he turns to his Talmud, Amle is Russia. That's what you're busy with. You're noticing women's features. This is what life is about. What's with you? Apik Arba Meishipuri. So he called out 400 people to blow the shofar, Vashamte, and put him to Chirm. He excommunicated him. Kol Yom, every day, Asal Kamei. So Yeshua HaNoitri came to his Rebbe Shimon ben Shetach. Not Shimon ben Shetach, Yeshua ben Prachia. So he came back to Yeshua ben Prachia to, please take me back. Asal kamei v'lei kable, and he refused to take him back. He felt that he wasn't yet, holding there. Yom Echad, it so happens that one day, Havakakari Krishma. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachia was in the middle of reading Krishma, and he couldn't interrupt. Asal kamei, so the Talmud came to him. Havakdaita I pinked at that time. He figured, okay, time to take him back. But he made a motion with his finger, 1 second, I'm still in Mul Krishma, and he misunderstood. Savar mitchadachle, he figured that his Rebbe once again has rejected him, and that's it. This was a straw that broke the camel's back. He gave up, and he went and did his own thing, created his own religion. Azal, he went Zakav Levainsa, he positioned this block, Polcha, and he worshipped it. As Avodah Zarah, he started his own religion, and the rest is history. Amar le chazer b'cha. Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachia, upon noticing what happens, approaches his Talmud and says, look, just come back. Do teshuvah. Amar le, he responds, Kach mekublani mimcha, I have a Kabbalah from you, my Rebbe, kol achoyte machtes rab, a person who sins and causes others to do so, ein maspikim yed says tshuva. Tshuva is no longer an option. What did he do? Damar, we learned that Yeshua HaNoitri was terrible. Kishei, he was involved in Kishuf. That's how he did all his pseudo miracles with the Kayach of Kishuf, Vehesis Vediach. And he took many Yidden and he turned them to Avodah Zarah Ve'echtes Yisrael. And the next part of the story is actually in Masechah Sanhedrin, where we find part 2, where in fact he was killed by the Sanhedrin on account of these averos. It's actually taken out from the Gemaras, but the new editions have restored those sections into the Gemara. He was put to death by the Bezdin on Erev Pesach, him and 5 of his so-called Talmidim, Paul and all the other guys. Tanya, Reb Shimon Elazar Omer. We learn from this, and we want to emphasize that Yetzer, Tinaik v'isha, when it comes to dealing with a person's inclinations, his Yetzer, his physical desires, Tinaik, or when it comes to dealing with a youngster, whether it's a Talmud or a child, v'isha, or one's wife, even if it justifies giving teichacha with care, gently, softly. Tei smoil doicha, the dechia, the pushing away should be half-heartedly, with your left hand, softly, slightly. V'yimin mekareves, but when it comes to be mekarev them with your right hand, and we understand how it pertains to the tinik and the isha. What about the yetzer? So Rashi explains, yetzer, tashmish, a person's personal desires, should be handled with care. You can't just reject cold turkey, because then a person will just lose any desire, which is not practical. But a person should slowly work his way up the ladder of spirituality. Slowly but surely he'll get there. Using this attitude, this formula of smoil doicha, v'yimin mekareves, try to incorporate it into avodas Hashem, everything l'shem shamayim, eating and drinking, etc. l'shem shamayim, rather than just rejecting it and negating it. Says the Mishnah, back to Egla Aruf. So they found a cholol ba'adama who was killed by somebody who we don't know, a killer unknown. We bring the Egla Aruf. What happens if nimtza ha'hoirik? They discover the killer. Adam showed up, we know who killed him. So it depends when that happens. Actually, nerfa egla, before they actually remove the head of the egla, teitze v'tira ve'eda. It's been discovered that there's no need for the egla rufa, because we have the killer, I'm going to kill him. So you take the egla and send it back to the flock, back to the farm. Has no kedusha, has no isra. But mishenerfa egla, if you did the arifa already, and now you discover the reitzeach, to cover b'mkaima, you just bury it as you would do typically. Shal safek ba mitchilasa. The question is why? It's no longer a suffix. You know who the killer is. The answer is shal safek ba mitchilasa. Initially, it came to address the uncertainty, meaning at the time it was still a suffix. So it addressed the suffix and it went, meaning it did what it did its job. So just because now it's been discovered that we know who the roitzeach is, it doesn't undo the process. While it was a suffix, we need the egla. Okay, now things changed. It became a vade. Okay. Now we deal with it differently on the vade track, which requires addressing the roitzeach. Nerfa egla, v'achakach nimtza hoirig. Okay, so let's say you did that refund, then you find the killer. Harizi harig. Of course, we apply misa to the killer. Don't think that he's been addressed and accounted for by the egla roof. Egla is just for the suffix, but now that we know who it is, he deserves his due. What if we have one aide who tells us, I know who killed him? We do not bring an egla rufa. Why? Pasuk says, we have no idea who killed him. But if anybody out there knows, even a single aide, even an isha, an eved, that stops the process, we don't bring the egla rufa. But let's say we have a collision between one aide and another aide. One aide comes along and says, I saw the person killing him. I know who he is. Comes another aide and says, what are you talking about? You never saw him. You were with me in a different place. We didn't see anybody. So the first aide is basically saying, don't do the egla roof, and the other one says, do it. Or you have two women negating each other. Isha imeres reisi. One says, I saw. The other one says you didn't. So basically they cancel each other out. Or back to square one, we bring the egla roof. What if it's 1 against 2? Then 2 prevail. One says I saw, no egla rufa. And 2 say, well, you didn't see. Yes, egla rufa. You bring it. And the same the other way around. 2 claim to have seen. The other one says you haven't seen. We listen to the 2 Eidim and we don't bring the egla roof. Continues the Mishnah. Misha Rabu Haroitz Chanan. when there was an increase in murderers, Batla Egla Rufa, they stopped bringing the Egla Rufa. Why? Says Rashi, interesting Rashi. Sharei Makirin Bahen Mia Rogel Bahen Larig. They know, the police knows who the murderers are. So even though we haven't actually seen anybody do it, but we know who they are. There's no point in an Egla Rufa, which is just meant to verify a suffix. We know who they are. No Egla Rufa. When did this happen? Mishaba Eliezer ben Dinai, when this fellow Eliezer, who was a well-known murderer, showed up to the scene, and another fellow Utchina, that was his name, and he was called Ben Prisha Yanikra, and when he got very much into murdering, Chazru the Kroiser ben Aratzchan, they called him Ben Aratzchan, the murderer. That's one thing. Another thing, Misharabu HaManafim, when there was an increase in znus, in improper behavior, Pasko HaMayim Amrarim, they no longer employed the Mayim of the SOTAH. It no longer worked. They stopped using it because of the prevalence of this illicit behavior. The point is that when Klal Yisrael are on a higher level, they are spiritually pure, so Hashem makes this process of called Meim Amorim to cleanse us, to keep us pure, to maintain our integrity. But if it's so pervasive and prevalent, it stops working. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, Sikon, he was the one who stopped the process. Shnemar, as the pasuk says, Lo yefkod al bnei seichem, I will no longer be boidek you. I will no longer activate the me'amorim of the SOTAH. Why? Al bnei seichem, because his nana, because your daughters are involved in this type of behavior. Al seichem, because it's not funny, your daughters-in-law as well. Kihem b'chul. Mishemeis Yosef ben Eliezer. So once we're speaking about the generation of the generations, we go on and we speak about other aspects as well. Of Yeridas Hadoros. Mishemeis Yosef ben Eliezer, he's trader. Yosef ben Yehuda Yisraelim. When these two tzaddikim passed away, Batlo Eshkolos, we no longer had amongst us perfect, complete people. Eshkolos, like a cluster of grapes that has all types, leading in all different directions. Torah in its entirety was no longer to be had. Shenamar ein eshkoil lechol bikura ivsa nafshi. I desire the eshkoil, which is no longer with us. What else changed throughout the Doros? Yochanan Kohen Gadol. What did he do? Hever Hadayas HaMaisros. He instituted a stoppage of the process called Vidui Meiser, where they would declare and say, Hashem, I did all my Meisers properly. He stopped at Haidaya. Why? The Gemara explained, because they no longer did it as prescribed. Afu, he also went ahead and bital as a Ma'irin, Vesanoikfin, he stopped the Ma'irin and the Noikfin, which the Gemara explained. What else happened during Yochanan Kohen Gadol's reign? Ad Yamav HaYapatish Maki B'Yerushalayim, until his times, the blacksmiths would do their work loudly in Yerushalayim on Chol HaMoed. If it was something that was important, a davar of it, something that involves monetary loss, which is typically mutar Chol HaMoed. But he didn't approve of that. He stopped this practice because it's not Yom Tov to hear blacksmiths in session. It appears like malacha is mutar. What else did he change? B'yamav, and during his life, ein tzarech lishal al admai. People no longer have to be concerned with produce purchased from a unlearned fellow, because he instituted a new takana called Dmai. Dmai means Dmai. What is this? Is it tevel? Is it proper food? So he made a takana that whenever you buy this type of food, there's a system in place to address its room and master, and therefore nobody has to wonder and ask any questions. Where is this coming from? Did you buy it from the Amoritz or not? Because in any case, whenever you buy something from the Amoritz, you would have to address its obligations properly. Tanarabanan. Minayin shim nerfa egla. How do we know that this is true? That after you did Arifas Egla, you find the killer. You should not say that the Arifas Egla exempts him. No, Tamalayim, the pasuk says, never. There's never a kapara for this dam which was spilled. Only one way, by taking the life of his killer. What if we have a conflict between one aid and the other? Aid echadaimer, etc. So first says the Gemara, Tama de Makishle. It's pretty clear from the Mishnah. Now the only reason why we cancel the first aid is because there's somebody that negates his account. If there's no akchasha, one aid comes and says, look, I know the killer. Eid echad mehem, and one aid is believed, which is something of an anomaly. It's something unusual that we believe in eid echad. How do we know it works? By egla rufa, something which you don't find almost anywhere except by SOTAH and another few select places. How do we know this? The Tanur Rabban, the pasuk says, "Lo yinaida miiko." We found a chalal. Lo yinaida miiko, killer unknown. We learn from here, ha noida miiko. If anybody knows, anybody recognizes, anybody knows who the Ritzach is, even if it's just a person on the other side of the world that knows about it, there's no arif ha'se'egla. Rabbi Kiva Eimer, he takes it a step further. Let's say the Bezdin happened to observe Reuven killing Shimon. They have no clue who Reuven is. They saw a person, they don't know who he is. Even in this case, we don't do arif ha'se'egla shlo yo'erfen tamalema. The pasuk says that the Bezdin announces, right? They say, we have no idea who did it, we didn't see it. But in this case they saw. So even though they can't identify the person, they saw him from the back or whatever, no egla rufa. Okay, so having said that, we have a big kasha coming up. Hashto da amras eidechat mem, and once you say one aid is believed, so aid says, I saw Reuben kill Shimon. No egla rufa is to be done, right? Comes the other aid and says, no, you did not see him. I contradict your story. What does the Mishnah say? They cancel each other out. Why? Iduch chad heichi matzi makashlei. How could the second aid come and do hakchasha? Cancel the first aid. Once the first aid's account has been established, it's on the record. V'amar ula tells us, wherever the Torah gives credibility to one aid, such as by egla rufa, we believe in eid echad, he has the power of two aidim. We don't just look at him like one person. It goes on the records. Harei kan shnayim. It's as though we have two people speaking. We have the fact as fact. That's it. You can't have another person come and negate two people. It's as though he's two people. So why does the second aid have a right to cancel the first aid? Oh malach ula tni. We have to revise the Mishnah. You're right. Let's change the Mishnah. When aid number 1 says, I saw the killer, don't do the arifa. Even if aid 2 comes and contradicts, we stick to the first account. There's no arifa, because he's been established as fact. The same thing Rabbi Yitzchak tells us, Tani, we switch the lashon of the Mishnah, we don't do arifa. We listen to aid number 1. For Rabbi Chia Amar, he disagrees. Tani, we stick to the version that we have in our Mishnah, we do the arifa. The question is why? The Rabbi Chia kashid ula. According to Rabbi Chia, how do we understand ula's halacha that aid number 1 is given full credibility? How can aid 2 come and cancel him? Like kasha, the answer is it depends how it happened. Kam bevas achas. They come at the same time. I say A, you say B, boom, bam, they cancel each other out. Because my story wasn't yet established. It was immediately countered and challenged by the other person. So they cancel each other out. When Rabbi Yitzchak says that we listen to the first person who said, I saw the killer, don't do the arifa, we listen to him. We ignore the second person, that's bezeh hazeh. They came incrementally. He came, and then he came later. Aid number 1 has been established, has been accepted by the Bezdin. We treat it like a verified story, which cannot be challenged anymore. So now let's take a look at our Mishnah. And by the way, Rashi brings that he's not going to explain this Gemara all the way to the 2 dots because it's pretty much a carbon copy, word for word, from a Gemara back on the Daf Aleph. We had a similar Gemara regarding the Eid Echad, the SOTAH, that she became Tamei. So it's pretty much a replica of that Gemara, except over here it pertains to Egla Rufa. But it's the same idea, the same formula, the same principles. Okay, now comes a kasha from our Mishnah on Rabbi Chia. Again, Rabbi Chia tells us an interesting point. It depends how it happened. Bunched up, or one after the other. So, if it's one aid and the other one right next to him, they cancel each other out. Otherwise, the first aid has been established as fact, and the other aid has no say in the matter. So now let's take a look at our Mishnah, which presents us with the following case. If it's 1 against 2, Aid 1 says, I saw the killer. Don't do the arifa. Don't do the egla. 2 Eidim come and counter his story. No, you didn't see him. We listen to the two Eidim, Hayu Eirfin, we bring the Egla Rufa. Let's make a diuk. Ha chad v'chad. If it's just one against one, Lo Hayu Eirfin, we would not bring the Egla Rufa. So what happened? One witness says, I saw the killer. Don't do the Egla Rufa. Comes the next witness and says, no, you didn't see him. Bring the Egla Rufa. Who do we listen to? The first witness. Even if they're coming at the same time. Because the first one is established as fact. So you have to do Rabbi Yehuda. It's a kasha Rabbi Yehuda who tells us that if it's bevasa achas, we cancel each other out. Asks the Gemara, according to your way of asking your kashas, emos seifa. Let's go to the next halacha in the Mishnah where you're going to have a deal going the other way. Emos seifa. So we have a case of two against one, but in the reverse. Shnaim oimrim reinu. Two Eidim say, look, we saw the killer. Don't do the arifa. Ve'ed echad oimer lo risam. They're contradicted by a single witness who says, no, you didn't see him. Who do we listen to? Lo yahayu erfin. We listen to the two, and we don't do the egla rufa. Let's make a diak, which is going to end up giving you a reverse halacha than before. Ha chad v'chad. Let's say it's one against one. Hayu erfin. We bring the egla rufa, which is a straight out contradiction to the diak a minute ago, where one against one, we don't do the arifa. So Ella rather, says the Gemara, let's not do the yukim here. The Mishnah is not trying to make us the yukim. The Mishnah is trying to teach us the actual halacha of two against one. Because if you're going to start making the yukim, you're going to have contradictory implications. Ella masnisin kulu b'psuleidis. The lesson being presented in this Mishnah is for the sake of these halachas per se, two against one. And we're not speaking about ordinary Eidim. We're speaking about people that are not really fit for saying Eidus. They're psuli Eidus, like an Isha. And the Chiddush of the Mishnah is, it's all about numbers. You have two against one, you listen to two. Even though you have two women against, let's say, one man. Two win. Look at Rabbi Nechemia. The Amari tells us, Kol makim she'mina Torah edechad. Wherever we find that the Torah gives ne'emanus to a single aid. For instance, by Egla Rufa. So no longer has to follow the the ordinary, typical guidelines applicable to Edus. It's more about opinions. It's more about perception. It's more about what appears to be genuine. Halech acharev deis. We follow the majority of opinions. For instance, v'asu shtei nashim b'ish echad. We consider the account of two women who are coming to contradict a man. So it's two women against one man. They win. Kishnei nashim b'ish echad. It's as though two men against one man, and the two win. Even though they're women, they win. Even though they're not Eidim, doesn't matter. It's about probability. It's about what appears to be real and genuine, and the true account of things. And that's the point of the Mishnah. We're speaking about women, psuli edis, and the Chiddush is, it's all about how many we have. Two against one, even if it's against a man, they win. There was another different version of Rabbi Nechemia, which pretty much is working with the same idea, but there's one difference, that two women against one man, let's say the man came first and he established the fact, the story as fact, two women can't go and negate that. So there's one difference here. If the first aid was an aid kosher, then even if you have 100 women against him, we treat them just like one person. They can't override the aid echad kosher. And in the Mishnah, where we say numbers count, is speaking to a woman came first. It wasn't aid echad kosher, it was a woman. And therefore we say 2 against 1, the 2 win. And we learn Nechemia like this. We modify it slightly. 2 against 1 works, but not if it's 2 women against 1 man who came first. Wherever the Torah gives ne'emanos to an eid echad, like by Egla Rufa, halech acharev deis, it's about the numbers. If it's 2 women against a woman, then they win. It's like like 2 men against 1 man, the numbers win. But let's say 1 man came first and told us a story, and 2 women come and try to turn that over. They have no koyach to do that. It's like 50-50, and once he came first and he established that as fact, we don't change that. So bottom line is the Mishnah is speaking about Psule Edus, and the Chiddush is numbers win. And the question is, why do we need two examples of the same halacha? In the first case we have two Edim speaking about Loi Ra'is, so you haven't seen them, bring the Egla Rufa, we listen to them. In the second case, we have two Edim going the other way, and we don't bring the Egla Rufa. What's the point of bringing two cases of the same idea? Each one has a Chiddush. Perhaps I would say, when do we follow the majority l'chumra when it's adding stringency, like doing the Egla Rufa? But if it's coming to negate the Egla Rufa, who says we listen to the majority? Maybe we have to be machmer, kamash one. The Chiddush is, in both cases, it's about the numbers. When there was an increase in murderers, but like Arufa. The whole point is to verify the suffix. We know who the killers are. We know who the murderers are. Furthermore, when the murderers happened more and more in the open, but like Arufa, once again, the Egla Rufa was no longer in use because inevitably people know who the killers are. There's no point in Egla Rufa. When does the water work on a person's wife? The SOTAH, when he is free of any sin. Then if he behaves properly, then he's deserving of the water, purifying his family and maintaining his family's integrity. But a person himself is involved in this improper behavior. The water has no effect on his wife. As we have in the pasuk, and the question is, my va'omer. Once we have the first pasuk, a pasuk in the Torah and Chumash, why do we need the second pasuk from Nach for the same idea? My va'omer. Perhaps I would say, avoid the day in. The pasuk of V'nikra Ish tells us he has to be pure. What about his family, his sons and daughters? If they're involved in this type of behavior, how do you know it affects the Mayim Hamorim? Tashma, we have that second pasuk. It's all one family. I won't be paiked. The water won't be baidik, won't verify if there is improper behavior in the family in total. Perhaps we'll say, avoid the pnui, it's only a concern if they're involved in eshes ish deviations. But if they're involved in an unmarried situation, a pnuya loy, perhaps that would not negate the effect of the water. Tashma. The pasuk continues, the men are involved with these illicit women, and we're speaking even about an unmarried situation. That's the end of the pasuk. What does that mean? A nation which has no understanding will suffer. Amar Rabbi Lezer, the Navi is warning Klal Yisrael. If you're careful with your own lifestyle, the water will be baidik your wives. But otherwise, will have no effect on your family. Says the Gemara, when pleasure, leading a pleasurable life, became so important and paramount, so din lost its value. It became perverted, Rashi explains. Because the judges were no longer accustomed to investing toil and effort in verifying and clarifying the halachas. It's all about easy does it, instant, in and out, and therefore they never really came to proper clarity of halachas. People's ways became perverted because once again there is nobody there to instruct and to direct. And Hashem is unhappy with the world. When there was an increase in dayanim, who would show favoritism in their judgments, all these psukim became cancelled and unaccounted for. Have no fear from an intimidating, Baal Din. Just the opposite. They were trying to show favor to the Baladinim, butter them up. Upasak leisakiru, and they stopped doing leisakiru panam b'mishpat. Don't show favoritism. They did. Uparku el shamayim, and they undid the yoke of heaven. V'nas naleim ol basar adam, and they took upon themselves the yoke of man, They were committed to pacifying and satisfying people. When there was an increase in these lawyers who would try to manipulate the judges and whisper to them quietly and try to influence sway their hearts and their minds. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, there was an increase in Hashem's anger and Klal Yisrael Chas v'Shalom, and Estalka Shechina, and the Shechina left. Mishum Shenemar, the pasuk says, "B'kerev Elokim Yishpait." When do we have Elokim Nitzav B'Daskel? When is Hashem present in Klal Yisrael? When it's B'kerev Elokim Yishpait, when the Mishpat is conducted properly. Mishir Rabbu, when there was an increase in Achri Bitsam Libam Hoylech. People just followed their desires. Rabbu Aimrim, there was an increase in all kinds of misconceptions and mislabeling of things. Bad became good, good became bad, as long as it fits the heart's desires. L'ra toiv, l'toiv ra. Mishir Rabbu Aimrim, l'ra toiv, l'toiv ra, when there was an increase in this misconception. Rabbu Hoy Hoy Ba'olam, there's an increase in woe, in misfortune, Chas v'Shalom, in the world, which is a Lashon Hoy Hoy, which is brought in those psukim. Mishir Rabbu Moshchei Reik, those who would pull their, dwell on their saliva, some sort of expression of ga'ava. Rabbi Yehirim, this was an expression of an increase in haughty people of an esmata talmidim, and that diminished the number of talmidim willing to really learn and to accept and to internalize others' teachings because they know it all. The Torah is looking for people to really, who's going to really learn me? Mishir Rabbi Yehirim, when there was an increase in these Baalei Gaiva, his Chilu B'nois Yisrael L'inasel Yehirim, Jewish girls would be attracted to these impressive-looking individuals who are obviously full of hot hair. She'ein Deirenu Roya El Panim, in our Dor, we only see the externals, and they were attracted to that, even though there wasn't much substance involved. Eini, is that true? V'amar Mar. Haven't we learned Haiman the Meir, a person who's a Baal Gava, he can't fool his family. Even the members of his family don't respect him. Shnema Givar Yarin, haughty fellow v'lo Yanava. He won't have Nava. What does that mean? Even in his own abode, he's not respected. So how can we say that we're attracted to these people who are all external, no internal? You're right, says the Gemara Meikara. Initially, it looks attractive. Kaftzalei, she would be attracted to him on account of his presentation. Ultimately, she sees him for what he really is. Not much going on. Mitzvah layu, they become cheap upon the members of the family, lose respect. Continues the Gemara. Mishirabu matile milai al tamali batam. When there was an increase in the dayanim who would impose their, they would sort of use intimidation to have their baalei batam invest their money for them and generate income for them. So this was a form of bribery, of course. Rabba HaShoicha, this brought an increase in bribery, Batoyas Mishpat, and swaying of judgment, the Paskoteva, and a ceasing of all good. Mishirabba Mekablani Tevasach, when there was an increase in this type of conduct where the Dayan would tell the person, look, Mekablani Tevasach, your favor received, here's a receipt. Umachaskani Tevasecha, yeah, I really appreciate the favors that you do for me. So again, this is a lifestyle revolving around bribery. Rabu Isha Yosha Bein Avyasa. There was an increase in everybody just following their own way of doing things. Nobody's telling anybody what to do. Everybody's just bribing, and it's all about politics. Shvalim Hugbo, people low down, not worthy of honor, are suddenly on top of the ladder. Vagvoyim Hushpul, people on top lowered. Umalchusa Ozla V'Navla, the Malchus, the authority of Klal Yisrael gets weaker and weaker. Mishurabatzari Ayin, stingy people became very prevalent. V'toife teref, and those who steal and refrain from giving tzedakah. Rabu Mamatza Alev, this brought an increase in cold-hearted people. V'kovtzi Daim Lahalvois, and people who refrain, have a hard time lending money to destitute people, which brought a violation of the law and the Torah. Be careful, pen, lest you become a blial and refrain from lending your money to other people. When there was an increase in Jewish girls presenting themselves in an immodest way and a haughty way, it's brought about an increase in improper behavior, and of course led to many incidents of SOTAH. But of course, when it got to a certain point, it just had to stop because the SOTAH no longer was effective, as we explained before. when there was an increase in people accepting gifts right and left, nismato ayamim neskatz rashonim, that brought about a cutting down, a shortening of lives. Negating gifts actually increases a person's life. Maral explains, less dependence upon others brings about more independence, which is the essence of life. When there was an increase in Zuchuchi Alev, is a form of gava. Not wishing to really delve into the topic, just drawing conclusions. 1, 2, 3. Rabbi Machlokes B'Yisrael. This brought an increase in disclarity and understanding Torah, which generated disputes on Machlokes. Mishrabu Talmidei Hillel v'Shammai Shleishim Shul Kol Tzorcha. In fact, when there was an increase in Talmidei Hillel v'Shammai who failed to really internalize their teachers' teachings, and they were lacking the proper clarity in Torah, that brought an increase in machlokes and disputes in Torah. Rabbi Machlokes B'Yisrael v'Nasis Torah Kishtei Torahs, and Torah turned into like two Torahs. There was a school of Beis Shammai and a school of Beis Hillel, all because of lack of effort and toil. When people started taking, there was an increase in accepting gifts and tzedakah from goyim, which puts them in the driver's seat. Hayu Yisrael Lamala, this is just an expression. A euphemism. Yisrael became elevated, Chas v'Shalom, meaning fakert, the goyim were on top, and him lamata, and they're on bottom. Yisrael lefanim, him la'ach Yisrael in the front, and the Gentiles in the back, which is just an expression, because it puts them on top. They're the providers, which isn't meant to be so. Okay, in short, let's just summarize quickly. We had the start, which regarding Elisha, with the 3 sicknesses, one on account of the dubim, the bears, which were sent to kill those 42 kids, and that was a result of the 42 karbanis brought by Balak. Elisha pushed away Gehazi, he rejected him. Rabbi Shua ben Prachia, the same with Yeshu HaNotzri, and look what happened. Egla Rufa. Okay, so the Hereg was discovered before the Egla Rufa was Nerfa. We just send it back to the flock. After which the Egla was Nerfa, so the Egla is buried. It did what it was supposed to do, but the killer, of course, gets what he deserved. And Eid Echad is believed in this case. We learned all about variations of Hakchashes between 1 and 2 Eidim. We learned about Mishirabah HaRoitzchem, there's no longer an Egla Rufa, and Mishirabah HaManaf, and there's no longer the SOTAH. We learned about Yeridas HaDoros, and the challenges that we face. Be'ez Hashem, we should overcome all these Yetzer Haras, all these difficulties. Ad B'Yas Goyal Tzedek Meir B'Meinu. Amen. Atzlacha Rabbah.